Friends, today we have Mr. John Churchill with us. Mr. John Churchill is a very known television journalist of our country. He worked with Doordarshan for a very long time. His last assignment was Additional Director General News. During his tenure at Doordarshan, he was in the midst of some major events, national and international, and he reported them. He has very deep knowledge and practical experience of how to report for television. Today he will be talking to us on how to prepare for television reporting. That means he will be discussing some tips that can make you a very good TV journalist. And the major component of our presentation today will be that how a journalist should prepare himself when he go for a TV reporting. How different beats of the TV reportings are divided, and then what is the role of the piece to camera in overall package of the television news. And then again, he will also be discussing that what are the qualities that can make you a good journalist, TV journalist. So with that brief introduction, now I would request Mr. Churchill to throw some light on that, means how a young man should prepare himself or herself to become a good TV journalist.
Thank you, Mr. Dulia. Television news is normally considered as almost the in thing today. If I have to oversimplify the television news is nothing but the news you see in the newspapers and the news you hear in the radio. It's an amalgamation of the newspaper reports as well as the reports you get on the radio. Normally, newspaper became a part of our life every day. As you get up in the morning, along with your morning cup of tea, you would like to read the newspaper. What do you see in the newspaper? You see the written report and a photograph. Normally, the photograph conveys more meaning than the written report. Many people do not have time to read the entire report, but once they see the photograph, they get all the story, what has happened. That's a photojournalism. It's a normal journalist, a writer who writes the story, and a photojournalist. Is a combination of both the things becomes a newspaper report. But in television, we combine both these things plus the radio report. You not only see the written part, you see the photographs, you hear the word, the spoken word. All these will make the television news. And we see the news almost what happens in one part of the country or one part of the world is seen instantly in the rest of the world. Thanks to the telecommunications and the satellite communications, now whatever that happens in any part of the world, you can see it right in your bedroom, in your drawing room. And that's what makes the television news. And television news became the most sought after thing today. And there's a glut of young men and women coming to the television reporting. They wanted to be the television journalists. Once upon a time, the journalism profession was a specialized one. Today, every young man and woman who is in the college or who goes to university, at least one part of their dream is to become a TV journalist, to come on the screen. Television journalists, normally they think, for a common man it is so, because every person thinks that coming on the screen is a television journalism. It is not so. There's a lot more behind that. And basically,
Churchill, when the youngsters, when they come just to join the television as a reporter, what tips you will suggest to them to become a good TV reporter the moment they join, because they are all youngsters and just ready to take up the job in TV channels as a reporter?
Yes, television journalism is basically the same as that of the newspaper journalism or the radio journalism. The basic facts that we normally look at in the television is what happened, when it's happened, the 5 W's we follow, where it happened, and why and how it happened, and who are the people affected. If you see, the first one, what happened, whenever a person goes, a reporter goes, he must come, first of all, know what has happened there. Then only he will be able to see what he can bring out. And when he looks at all these 5 basics, 5 W's, he gets the story rather. This is what is the basics of any journalism, be it the newspapers, be it the radio, or be it the television. But the television man has to have a little more common sense. He has to come to terms with what all is there on the scene. He must have a sense of the situation there, because he is going with the team. Basically, there are so many types of reporting a television journalist will have to do. If I have to bring out some of the circumstances that we would like to report on, there are something like one has to report on accidents, and sometimes we may have to report on a plane crash, sometimes we have to report on a shipwreck, sometimes a TV journalist has to go out and report on an agitation. Right now you can see what's happening, Lord, as far as the reservations are concerned. Almost every TV channel is concentrating on that one. The journalists are going right on the spot where the agitation is taking place. They are trying to report on that one. They have to, sometimes we send them to certain rallies. Sometimes it's political developments. Mostly in India, television journalists are mostly involved in reporting on the political developments. There are some scientific achievements, but reporting on the scientific achievements is a little different than what exactly you do on a day-to-day basis. But these are also a part of it. Sometimes one has to report on exhibitions, on explosions. Sometimes we have to report on earthquakes. Earthquakes are frequent, not only in India, but in other places rather. And reporting on this one is really, one has to prepare a lot. There are other circumstances like war. It doesn't happen every day. But insurgency activities, it happens almost in the northern part, northeastern parts of India. We have to report on certain circumstances there. So a TV reporter has to be always well informed. He has to keep himself abreast of all the events that are taking place.
What extra precautions I think have to be taken to report agitation and incidents like communal riots?
Yes, I'll give an example. When it's an agitation, first of all, he must have a thorough knowledge of what are they agitating about. What are the agitating people they are demanding. The demands are most important. He must at least make a little study of what are their demands, whether they are in line with the government policies. If they are agitating against a government policy, why? We must be able to gather all this information before he switches on to actually the camera work. Television reporting is a teamwork. He must work with the cameraman as well as the one who records. Nowadays, this can be combined together. One reporter is sufficient. He can carry a camera, he can carry the camcords, which can record everything. But so far in India, we have not come to that stage. It's always a teamwork. And he has to instruct the cameraman well in advance what shots he would like to take. When he is interviewing the people, what type of the shots, whether he should zoom in or zoom out. These are the things that he has to take into account. And the first and foremost thing is, whenever he is going to an agitation, he must first of all give an establishment shot to say this particular thing, this agitation is taking place in a place like this or in a city like this. To show a city like Delhi, first of all, you have to give an establishment shot of India, then zoom on to the Delhi.
Yes, I will just add one point here, because in television production, you see, we have various kinds of shot, long shot, medium shots, extreme close shots, and a combination of these shots are used to depict various kind of realities. And that's what Mr. Churchill explaining, that what is the importance of long shot and medium shot and extreme close and close up. So please carry on.
Yes, I was talking about the shots that he has taken. A pan shot is the most important one, because he has to show the extent of the agitation, how many people are involved. Sometimes the agitation is only by a few people. We cannot show the public as the agitators. Many of them come over there just to see as onlookers. So we have to be very careful whether this agitation is a small one or a big one, or it is by a particular community, or it is by a particular party or particular institution. So these are the facts one has to collect beforehand, and one has to talk to them, and afterwards, while interviewing, he must be very careful to bring out both sides of the story. If the agitation is against the government, he must have the full information. What is the policy that has gone against the people and how it can be rectified? A television journalist should always detach himself from the actual circumstances, the actual facts that are happening. He should be a neutral person. He should never make himself a party to either agitation or to the government or to the management of any organization. Sometimes the agitators are against a private setup, a private management. If they're not paid the bonus or if they're not given the proper facilities, normally the workers come out with their agitation. And these are the things he has to take into account. Talk to the management, talk to the workers, and give both sides. Let the people judge. He should not be a judge. He should not give any comments. He should not give his own side of the story. He should not take sides. This is what normally when he covers an agitation, he should take into account.
How would you analyze that? I think in most of the situations of passions like agitation against reservation and communal riots, there were serious allegations against media, that media has failed to maintain neutrality and objectivity. How do you look at it?
I have been watching at least a few channels how they have covered this agitation, particularly the reservations one. And many times I found the correspondent became a part of the agitators. He started talking on behalf of the agitators. No, it should not be rather. He should only ask the questions. Why are you asking for this? Why are you pleading for anti-reservation? He should be able to point out, the very basics, why reservations were included at all. What was the policy of the government? What was the basic decisions they have taken? And who are the people who will be affected if they are taken out, if they are implemented? And what could be the solution? You can ask these questions to the agitators. And of course, agitators will not come out with a solution. Their only solution is say that, no, we want this thing, we want that thing to happen. So in these circumstances, one has to be very careful, one has to be neutral.
Then I think we were, there are various kind of bits that you discussed about that, what are the various areas. And then in every television reporting, there is a package. That package contains some anchor, then anchor links, some voiceover, and then it concludes generally by a piece to camera. And piece to camera, I think, is very vital link in the television news package. So would you like to say something that how piece to camera again requires some very highly specialized skills also? A journalist has to be a good presenter, good at the language, good at the pronunciation, good at the modulation, and some people are naturally gifted and some people can be trained also. So how to do a good piece to camera, that what kind of qualities are required for that? Would you like to throw some light on that?
Yes, piece to the camera is, I'm sorry, piece to the camera is the most important one because it has the credibility. Who is reporting? What is he saying? Whether he is there on the spot or not. These are some of the things that we take into consideration. A piece to the camera is a thing that a TV correspondent has to say, whatever pictures have conveyed, whatever the report has been shown, beyond that, whatever has not been shown, I'm sorry for it, whatever that could not be shown by the pictures, whatever he could not convey through his own report, he should be able to speak out. He should be able to tell, look, this is what has happened. The agitation is for this one, or this particular thing is happening. In a scientific development, when a reporter gives a story on a scientific development, he normally takes into a lot of things into consideration. Beyond that, he will say, this particular instrument which has been rather discovered or which has been found out, which has come into practice, will help a particular rather purpose. That particular purpose, he will not be able to show it on the television. That's what he will be able to pronounce it. Piece to the camera is important, but it should be always brief, because normally the listeners and viewers would not like to see a face for a long time. That's the importance of the piece to the camera.
Yes, because generally television news is composed of various packages, and on any major event they will present a package. And the first opening of the story is the anchor is presenting the news story. And the news story is presented, the anchor is off the screen, and there are the footage of the story, and a voiceover, some correspondent is doing the voiceover, giving background information. And again after that is a bite. That means that the package, that there may be bite of the common man who is present on the situation of the in the place of incident. That a couple of bites from the people who are affected or who have something to say on that. And again they may move for another voiceover, another sequence of the visuals and footages which are cleverly edited and background information. And at the end of that package, the correspondent will appear, because correspondent is also present on the place of incident. And from there, then he is summarizing the entire story. He's saying something, adding that to that. He's describing the environment, what he really is going around where he is. And with that piece to camera, generally, the package will conclude. Or if there is something additional, then anchor may again come over. So that's called a package in a news story. That means a news bulletin is composed of various packages. So one incident is captured in form of a package that includes anchor, that includes voiceover, that includes visuals, and that includes one vital piece to camera. So that's generally the pattern. And now we will come to another theme for our discussion.
Before we go further, can I say something on what you have said?
Yes, please.
Normally a TV report is not something like a newspaper report or the report you hear in a radio. The TV report is something like, you start off with like a story. In a newspaper, normally they start off with a particular news. Suppose in a particular place, an accident, some people died. They start the story with so many people died. But here in TV, we normally establish a thing that this has happened in this place. We started like something like a storytelling. Once upon a there is a king, he has two sons. We try to show the sequence right from the beginning. Then we come into the real depth of the story comes into the center of it. And afterwards we follow it up. That's why something like a TV report, is something like a cinema you are seeing. A TV news report is something like in 1 or 2 minutes we are trying to show what has happened in a particular place. And that too in a sequence. We try to establish that this is the place that's happening, this is the country that's happening. And after these are things that happened, one after the other. Then we try to tell them, look, this happened because of these reasons. We try to show that one. That's why a TV reporter should collect as many visuals as possible. He must go to that, before he produces the report, he must go out and go to the library and collect as many pictures as possible, so that his words are very limited. He need not have to just keep on only talking for himself, talking to the camera. He can easily include all these visuals as a background material. Once they are all included, that becomes an interesting piece. That's how the TV news goes on.
Hello.
I couldn't get you.
Hello, good afternoon, sir.
Yes, go ahead.
I am calling from Delhi. I want to know, suppose if there is any news bulletin is there, how many stories it will accommodate and what type of sequencing to be followed for that news bulletin. Suppose if it is in the morning news, what take care has to be taken. Suppose if it is in the afternoon, what care should be taken. Suppose if it is in the evening news, what is the sequence priority we have to give for the stories. Please explain that thing, sir.
Okay, that's a good question. Normally in a morning bulletin we try to cover whatever that's happened before, the night before, the last bulletin what we have given, whatever that's happened before that one we try to give it. Whatever that has not been noticed in the newspapers, we try to give that one in that news. And the morning bulletin is normally a wrap up of what all has happened during the night and after the events have been closed. Many newspapers, they go for printing around 12 o'clock. And what happened after 12 o'clock is normally the things that we try to cover. But whatever that's important takes the first priority. It doesn't have to take the sequence rather. We normally don't believe in sequence. Whatever that happens, the news, that will be the first story that will be coming into that one. And as far as the day is concerned, the day bulletins normally, rather up to 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, that's the time normally the day bulletin comes. And for this one, we normally take whatever that's happened between the morning, that's 6 o'clock to 12 o'clock, or 6 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And sometimes we can add the latest rhythm, because we always believing in giving the latest to the people, whatever is happening. Nowadays we can send our vehicles which can, along with our correspondents, from there they can straight away transmit, and we will be able to give the latest right on the spot. If it is suppose it's a fire accident, our vehicle is right there on the spot our correspondent is there on the spot to tell, and it can be telecast straight away from that place. This happens even in a train accident or a plane accident, wherever that's possible, and we try to bring it as much as possible at the time. For the evening bulletin, normally we take care of the entire 24 hours coverage, whatever that's happened during the day, and till the latest we will bring it. So this is now this is how we normally take care of the morning, day and evening bulletins. But nowadays the channels are giving almost every hourly bulletin. Whatever that happens, the hour before you will be able to get it. And sometimes we give the latest also. Some of the news channels have all the equipment, and Doordarshan does the same thing. We have people deployed all over the country rather. Whatever that happens in the particular city, in a particular state, we'll be able to give you the latest. That's how we give the news from different states in the evening time, almost a roundup of whatever that's happened in the day to the people around the country, around the world. Anything else?
Anyway, with the advent of the 24/7 concept of journalism, when television channels are broadcasting news stories 24 hours in a day and 7 days in a week, the concept of deadline is not that relevant the way it used to be long back.
This call.
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Yes.
Sir, I want to know what are the major sources that you will get the news from it means what are the sources to collect the news? Can you explain that thing other than your reporters? And then how it will be receiving to your studios for the transmission?
The sources are, as far as the sources are concerned, it stretches the imagination of the correspondent and imagination of the editors. Even a newspaper headline is a source for me, as far as I'm concerned. Even a person who is right on the spot, even a chaprasi who works at that place is a source for me. That's why normally we tell our own staff people that whatever that happens, when you are at home or away from that place, just immediately inform us, and we will go ahead and try to get as much as possible.
And then you see sources are hundreds and thousands sources. It depends on the nature of the story, which story you are doing. But as a concept, we can say that we have sources, what we call written sources, that means information which is already available in the printed form. Then we have sources of experts, that means sources of experts, they are the sources of knowledge. Then we can say we have sources of experience, the people who are affected. And then we are our own sources as a journalist, because we go to the spot and we collect information, then we are collecting information on our own. And then we have various affected parties, and then again we can identify that who are the people who can fill in the gaps. Somewhere then we go for the interviews. Various people, we can go to the government officers, district state police officers, we want to fill the gaps. In journalism, we call it filling the gap process. That first we gather information from written sources, then we go to the source of knowledge who are experts to enhance our understanding of the subject. Then we go to the people of experience, that means what really are their sufferings, what they say, who are really suffering, who are affected. And then we are collecting on our own, and then that's how we make the entire story and sequencing of the information, so that these are the sources of information. Then coming back to the specific sources, then it depends. If it's a press conference, source is a person who is speaking. If it's an accident, then you have police officers, rescue workers, hospitals, eyewitnesses. Depends on the nature of the story, that how you identify your sources, and sources will differ from one kind of a story to another kind of a story.
I think Mr. Dhulia has explained in detail about this one. Whenever we go out, we always try to keep our mind open. We keep our eyes open for that one. Rather, the television reporter must be always alert to sense where is the news. Basically, a journalist always looks for news, and unless he has a nose for news, he cannot be a good journalist. That's what we normally try to do. Whenever we go for any particular thing, we will try to see all sides of the thing, not only the people who are affected, but the people who are watching it, people who are behind it, and people who are controlling that one. and people who have some knowledge or who have got a control over certain circumstances. We try to, even when it comes to something like a big establishment, we go to the management, we go to the workers, we go to every side rather, so that we'll be able to give all sides of it and leave the judgment to the people, to the one who is listening, to the one who is watching it. And sources are something like that's what an imagination goes for. As far as
Yes,
Okay.
please, yes. Yes, please go ahead.
Agencies which is giving you feed for the news and all those things other than Doordarshan.
I can't hear you.
Number one. Number two, I want to ask to Mr. John Churchill, what is the role of the Director General DD News at the time of the news production?
will you kindly repeat that question? I would like to hear it again.
What is the role of Director General Doordarshan in news production?
And question number three, what is the major difference for making a news for a private channel and a government channel? What is the major difference? So what care to be taken while making a news report for a Doordarshan? And suppose somebody is making a report for a private channel, what is the procedure and what is the liberty they can take?
And I'll come to the first part of it. Doordarshan News, and normally we take care of, because people consider it as something like an official voice. Whether we are official voice or not, we are taken like that. The Doordarshan is taken like that. That's why we normally take into account. Our Doordarshan reporters are always very cautious when they give the report. They simply give both sides and leave it. That's the first point of it. And we normally don't side anyone. Whatever is a news, we put it across. And we are not there to support either the government or the other side. This is basically we go, as far as news is concerned, we go neutral. The role of the
Well, everybody says that.
No, we follow it because many times everybody thinks that Doordarshan means we are only giving the one side of the story, the government side of the story. It is not so rather. We have always, if somebody has criticized the government, we have given that one. We never, at least, we felt shy of it. And it's for the government to answer, to reply. So we are actually trying to tell the people this is what's happening in the country. You know it very well. You can judge it for yourself. This is what our objective is. Second thing, you talked about the DD, the Director General of News, DD, in Doordarshan. Well, he is the overall in charge. He is the controller. He is the one who takes care of it. He or she has a responsibility to run that channel. Just as the CEO of a private channel is doing, he or she will be doing the same job. And I would not like to dwell on that one because I had been in that job. I know what are the problems, what are the things, what are the tensions we go through rather. And it's quite imaginable, the one who is asking the question, probably he will be able to understand it. Anyway, I go to the other part of it, the private channel and the Doordarshan. You wanted me to distinguish. I think it's not fair on my part to say that everybody has their own policies when they start the news bulletin. The private channels have, many of the people who are on the private channel, they keep on telling, look, we are working against competition. And the competition means it's money. So they have their own objectives in that. Whereas Doordarshan is not there to make money, but is the basic thing is to inform the people of what's happening and tell them, let the people judge. They are the better judges than anyone else. And people who watch the private channels also, I know they have already made up their minds what they see. Is that all right for you?
Well, I would like to add some points here because, in fact, I worked almost for 15 years in private news media. And Doordarshan, I think, is considered accountable, and whenever there are some mistakes, Doordarshan is criticized. Somewhere, a impression has been created as if the private news channels are more professional, and Doordarshan is not that professional. In recent times, if you see the coverage of number of events, I think Doordarshan has done far better job as far as upholding the public good is concerned. If you remember some of the very, very disturbing events, that means some events in some fashion show or some events related to some film actors or show business people, the kind of tampering of the basic nature of news that the private channels has done, I think Doordarshan has never done that. Doordarshan, I think, has been a very responsible channel, and not too many, and so many people would agree with me. But I can say that today, if we say news channel in our country, I would say that most of the television channels they have ceased to be news channels, but they have become infotainment channel. And I think if one channel in this country is somewhere close to news channel, I think that is Doordarshan. Well, my views are a bit extreme on that, but bear with me.
Thank you, Mr. Dhulia. And I only want to add one thing, during the communal riots, our reporting is the best reporting, that we inform the people, but we never name the communities because we know we have a responsibility for the country. The Doordarshan, I'm not defending Doordarshan here, but I'm telling you what we have done as a person who worked in Doordarshan, as a person who...
Anyway, I won't be defending because I never worked with Doordarshan.
As a person who worked in Doordarshan, I can tell you rather that we always take the responsibility. We have a responsibility for the country, for the people, to see that there is peace. And in a communal riots, we always play a very neutral role. We only tell the people what has happened. And we try to see that the fire is, is set out rather than fire is on.
Well, Mr. Churchill, I think one very important point that you raised, but then we got to discuss something else, and that was, I think, left incomplete. That was, you were talking about a TV journalist need to be fully informed and knowledgeable, and only then he can practice journalism. Without a journalist being informed himself or herself, he cannot practice journalism. So that's the process, that how a journalist should keep himself fully informed what is happening, so that he can evaluate what really is the new and present some new information in a fresh manner. So that point, I think, that means how a journalist should prepare himself or herself to be fully informed, to be fully knowledgeable, and to capture the essence of the story when something happens.
Mr. Dhulia, I would like to give a few points about what makes a good reporter, a good TV reporter. One has to be a good communicator. First of all, he should be able to communicate. He or she should be able to communicate absolutely clearly. Clarity is the most important one. He must have a good command over the language, and his diction, pronunciation, they are very important. He must be a good team player because he has to work with the cameraman, with the recordist, and with others. Television reporting is a teamwork. As I said earlier, if he and the reporter and the correspondent are not on good terms, you can rest assured that his report, the TV report, is a disaster. Cameraman can shoot something else, and the correspondent wants some other shot. So he has to cultivate the cameraman, and of course he has to be a good team player. He must be articulate. I have already said about clarity and clarity in speech. Basically, he must be an honest person. He should not twist the facts. He must be fair in reporting. Give both sides of story. Please go ahead.
If you miss any event, maybe by mistake or maybe by technical problem, and you don't reach to the audience, but other channels all started giving reporting, then how you will cover the gap?
The question you have asked is a little complicated one. You have missed it. You can have some links with other channels also. Ask them, look, can you provide the footage for us? We will give credit to you. That's one method. Or wait for your own correspondent, wait for your own resources to come to your rescue. If you don't want to have any network with others. But in the TV news or in any other one, normally, one has to have a little bit of understanding with other channels. Suppose I have missed something. Suppose when the cameraman is taking, somewhere it might not click and the entire thing is gone. He has to ask other people to provide him the footage. That's the only way to come out of it. Or wait for your own channel to go and get the visuals and afterwards put it across after, if it's a news channel, a 24-hour channel, you put it after 1 or 2 hours.
Anyway, at times you score, at times you are beaten. That's part of the game.
That's right. Normally no channel will give it before they show the news, because everybody would like to give the scoop. Everybody would like to get the credit that they have done first. Yes, we are talking about who makes a very good TV reporter. A TV reporter should be well organized. He must be thoroughly informed. He must always keep his ears and eyes open. He must be well informed, all the time, keep abreast on the subjects. Keep on reading. Keep on seeing whatever that's happening. And also, he must also know what is available in his own TV library. So that whenever he is going out for a thing, he must do a lot of homework before going on to the spot to do that one. Then only one can ask very interesting questions, very intelligent questions.
Homework, could you be please a bit more specific? Homework means reading newspapers or magazines or clippings, or what homework
One
exactly?
should take note of.
Because they are the very young people who are watching this program. So they would like to have some practical tip that what does it mean homework when you go for reporting, to be in a specific term.
The best thing they can do is they must take notes of it. Suppose he reads a lead story today in the newspaper. He said, if it is to be covered as a correspondent, what things I'll have to take care of.
So
What are the
newspaper
visuals?
as a major source, you can
What are
say.
the visuals? He must be able to imagine those visuals, and he must be able to tell the cameraman also what sort of shots he would like to have. So these things, doing a homework means, one must be thorough with the subject. Sometimes you have to specialize in a subject. So you have to go deep into the matter and then get some books from the library, meet people who are involved in that one, go to the particular department, a particular university where they have more information on that one, try to get as much as possible and build up your own library, your own something like resources. Build it up. Sometimes it comes very handy to you, and many times it comes handy. It's not sometimes, many times it comes handy. He must be always thorough with he keep his ear to the radio, what is the news that's going on. And if I have to go there, what questions I will ask. Many times the TV reporters, I have seen a few of them on the channels, when they go there, they see, if they have gone to Sachin Tendulkar, they will simply say, now how do you feel that you have done this? That's a silly question to ask. A player who has reached such a stage, some of the questions they could ask is, how long did you take? How much effort you have made? What sort of training, special training you have gone through? These are some of the interesting points, the other side of the story will come out. The interesting part of his life, the private life will come. How much time his parents could give him, what sort of interest his parents are taking, what sort of friends he has. These are the interesting points that will come out. So a TV reporter should be always thorough with all this type of, a type of research he must do before going for a reporting.
Yeah, I would just add one point that I think newspapers are still a major source of information. And personally, I think that any journalist must read more than one newspaper. In fact, I use a term. I don't say that journalists should read newspapers. I always say a journalist should study newspapers.
Okay, go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm calling from Shillong. You are a DDG News. Can you reply the priority to be given for women reporters for making a news story?
Well, he is former DDG News,
Sorry.
Just one
but
minute.
still he can
Will
answer
you
the
kindly
question.
repeat this question again?
Can you reply the priority to be given for a woman reporter for making a news story?
News is news, whether it's done by a male or a female. Because normally in journalism we don't consider who is a female, who is a male. Because if a female reporter is giving a news, the news of the day takes priority, then she will get the top priority. But we don't go, there is no reservation in this one, as far as I'm concerned.
All things being equal, females will be given
Yes.
priority, no?
Yes.
So anyway, I was coming to that a journalist or a journalist student, all of you are doing journalism course, I would say that you must study at least 3 newspapers every day, at least 3. And at least one major event, how a major event has been reported in 3 newspapers in 3 different ways. And how on the same event, 3 newspapers have written 3 different editorials. And again in next few days, the same 3 newspapers would be publishing 3 articles also. Now 3 news reports on one event, 3 editorials and 3 articles. I think that will give you a comprehensive understanding of the issue in hand. And that's how I think you develop, you encourage your level of information on the subject, you enhance your understanding of the subject, and you become knowledgeable about the subject. And I think it's after that that you practice journalism, and then you are not victim of what Mr. Chalse said, that asking very obvious questions, which can only solicit very obvious answer. So that's, I think, very, very important today. And in general, the general trends in the TV journalism and journalism in general in our country, I think is declining at times in terms of the content and the variety, because a journalist is not adequately prepared. That what information a journalist is looking for. Then at times they are ending up bringing in some information which is not news at all. Because if you are not informed, you cannot make it out what really is new, what really is the news. You are cycling and recycling the same old stuff. There is nothing new in it, no news at all.
We are talking about who makes a good reporter. I have already given a few points, but a good reporter should be very analytical. He must be able to analyze the situation and also the circumstances. What is the thing that's happening? Once you analyze this one, you will get most of the answers, where to go and what to shoot, and what sort of directions you can give to the cameraman. That particular thing, one has to keep on practicing it. Practicing makes one perfect. And TV reporter has to keep on following, analyzing the things, analyzing his own work. Then he will be able to how to improve that one. That's one of the things. And he also must have a visual sense. What sort of visuals that are needed? And sometimes the cameraman keeps on going. He has to keep on bringing him back and tell him, look, I want a pan shot. I want to zoom in, or I want to zoom out, or you take the shots of the rest of the things, so that that makes more interesting. Because more the visuals, more interesting the story is. If your story is not interesting, if you can't do a story interestingly, if you can't show more visuals, let me tell you, the viewer will not wait for long. He will try to switch on to another channel. You have lost a viewer. You have lost a listener. So you have to be very, very careful in doing your stories. You have to be very, very analytical. You keep on analyzing things, and then how to make it more interesting. And whenever you as a reporter, you are interviewing somebody, make it show that you are very courteous. And also never take the audience as though they know everything and never take them also for granted that they are just they don't know anything at all. You must be very careful in asking questions. Your interviews, they are actually the staple diet of a particular story. When we give the stories, interviews are very, very important, because you start bringing the opinions of others, you start bringing the different views of people. So while doing the interview, be very courteous, be very nice. Sometimes you may not get a reply that you are expecting, but you must be very patient at that time. Try to laugh at yourself or swallow it. But be very courteous with the people whom you are trying to interview. You must have a pleasing personality. You have to have a photogenic face. And you should not use any rubbish language.
Yes, interview, I think interview, that means the question, how do you know it? Give me figures. These two questions are very, very important. And political leaders, they label all kind of allegations, and it's very important to ask them, how do you know it? Give me the figures. Friends, we are coming to the conclusion of today's program. I hope that it will be useful for you, and we will be meeting again next month, same time, almost same day. We will continue our discussion. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Ved. Thank you, Mr. very much.
Thank
it was very enlightening for our students, and I think they will learn a lot from this, and we'll be meeting again. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.